What's up, everybody? It's AT. Appreciate you checking out this Aaron Torres Pod YouTube bonus clip. In just one moment, we are going to go ahead and discuss the latest decommitment from the Florida Gators and why I don't think this is the last. I think Billy Napier is in trouble heading into signing day. We are going to discuss all of that momentarily. Before we get started, do me a quick favor. You see that little subscribe button at the bottom of the screen? Go ahead, hit subscribe. Appreciate your support. Here's the crazy part. Just crossed 31,000 subscribers. I think we can get to 35K before the start of the new year. Cannot do it without your support, though. So go ahead and subscribe. All sorts of college football, college basketball content coming at you. With that said, though, let's go ahead and dive into the huge recruiting news of the day, and it involves the Florida Gators. And if you listen to this channel, you know I've been pretty critical of Billy Napier. And it's not that I don't like him. It's not that I'm rooting against him. I'm a child of the 90s, so I grew up on Florida Gators football being awesome, okay? But obviously, look, on the field, it has been one disappointing loss after another. And it's not just disappointing losses. It's how you lose. It's getting embarrassed by LSU with the Heisman Trophy winner, basically winning the Heisman Trophy against your defense. Ray Davis rushing for like 11 yards per carry for Kentucky. Losing at home to an Arkansas team that did not win another SEC game all year. So it's bad on the field. But the one thing that Billy Napier could always kind of hold on to was, listen, it's bad now, but this 2024 recruiting class, wait till we get those guys on campus. They're going to be awesome. Well, just one problem. This class is bailing water like the Titanic. It's really bad. It really started about 3-4 weeks ago towards the end of the regular season. We talked about it at the time, but Jamonte Waller, a 5-star defensive lineman, flipped from Florida to Auburn a few weeks ago. Wardell Mack, a 4-star defensive back, flipped to Texas. And oh, by the way, Nasir Johnson, a 4-star defensive lineman, flipped to Georgia. So a class that was as high as number 3 in the country, according to the 24/7 composite, fell down to about 6 or 7. And that was before the news of, what is today? Monday. I was going to say Thursday. I don't know why I would have said Thursday, but the news of Monday when Xavier Phillips, one of the elite safeties in all of high school football, had been committed to Florida since the spring, flips and ends up going to Texas. And so now, in a 48-hour period where you had to hold on to all the key pieces, one of the biggest pieces flips. And here's the scary part. I don't think this guy is the last one. Okay, so first of all, as far as this kid is concerned, Xavier Phillips, an elite defensive back prospect. And the one thing I guess you can sort of defend Billy Napier on, like this news wasn't totally shocking, okay? So this is a kid that has family in both Florida, the Orlando area, but also right outside of Austin, an hour or two outside of Austin. And when Texas really kind of ramped up their pursuit in the fall, you kind of knew this was at least a possibility. All the signs were pointing towards Texas over the last couple weeks. You had a visit to campus during prep for the Big 12 championship game. There was another visit over these last couple days. And so you add all that up with Florida firing the defensive backs coach, Corey Raymond. Not the move I would have made, but hey, I'm not an $8 million a year head football coach. What do I know? But you fire the defensive backs coach. Everything was trending this way. So again, it's not totally surprising. Not that it makes you feel any better if you're a Gators fan. Here's the concern, though. As I said, a class that was as high as number 3 in the country at various points in the spring and summer. Well, guess what? Here's the scary part. This guy might not be the last one, and you've already had 3, 4, 5 high-profile flips in this class. So you look at this class, it's now down to number 10 in the 24/7 rankings. It's the 5th class ranking-wise in the SEC, if you include Texas, which is obviously coming next year. So that's not good. It's behind your in-state rivals, Florida State and Miami, so that's not good. And the hits may keep coming. First off, DJ Agway, the quarterback, I think he's pretty safe. Now, I know some people that kind of peripherally know him. A&M made a push. As far as I was told, they never really seriously considered not going to Florida. Now, listen, it's a portal NIL world. Stuff changes fast. You know, we saw just in the last couple days, Malachi Nelson, the former 5-star, leave USC after 1 year. Dante Moore leave UCLA after 1 year. So DJ Agway going to Florida is not a lifetime commitment, but I do think they're going to get to signing day and he is going to be the guy there. And that is the one. Like if Billy Napier does not hold on to that guy, just go. I mean, I don't want to say hand in your resignation letter, but you might as well have it on file. You might as well get Nick Saban on the phone and say, hey, can I come to that coach and rehab thing that you're doing? Because I need some help. So that is the one that like you can't lose anymore. But if you hold on to one, DJ Agway at least gives you an ounce of hope going into the next iteration of your program, okay? Here's the problem, though. Beyond that, pretty much all your high-profile players are seriously considering other places. LJ McCrae, an elite defensive line prospect. Some recruiting services have him as the best defensive line prospect in America. Here's the crazy part about that kid. He committed in October. Things weren't even really going that well when he committed. Like, it's one thing if you have a kid that committed in April or May and you sell them, hey, we're going to be better in 2023, and then we're going to take off when you get here in 2024. LJ McCrae committed in the fall. He committed kind of in the turbulence of the season. Well, why do I bring it up? It is because over the last couple weeks, LJ McCrae has received, I mean, he's receiving interest from everybody, but Florida State and Auburn are making heavy pushes. He, I believe, has visited both over like the last 2 weeks. And I think it's at least a possibility that he does not sign with the Gators here on National Signing Day on Wednesday. Now, he's a quiet kid. He doesn't say much in interviews, but you listen to these insiders that know these programs, they have been led to believe that both programs feel like they're in pretty good shape for this kid. Florida State, by the way, is big game hunting. They have not given up on Jeremiah Smith, the number one player in the class, a wide receiver committed to Ohio State. So keep your little eye on Florida State because they are making moves. Beyond LJ McCrae, though, I think this is interesting. Amaris Williams, a 4-star defensive lineman from North Carolina. This is another one. He's been committed forever. And, you know, you think, okay, it's 2 or 3 more days to signing day. We can get there. A top 100 prospect out of the state of North Carolina, as I just said, the number 34 ranked player in the 24/7 sports rankings. I'll say this. First of all, he's another one. He's taken a couple visits here in the last couple weeks. Just visited Georgia over the last couple days. Visited Auburn 2 weekends ago. Visited Ohio State in October. Why do I bring it up? Visits are not good, especially a week before signing day. But here's the crazy part. This is the craziest part. I don't know if I've ever seen this. He is on the Florida commitment page on 24/7 Sports. But his crystal ball predictions are all for Ohio State. So listen, I don't do crystal balls. I just follow the news and information. That is not a good sign, though. You don't need to be a recruiting expert to know. If all the crystal balls are in for one school when you're currently committed to another, if you're a Gators fan, you gotta be worried. You keep going down that recruiting list, that recruiting rankings list as far as the top players in the Gators class. Silver lining, Miles Graham, linebacker, 4-star, out of Gainesville. His dad was Ernest Graham, again, child of the 90s. We all remember him. You'd hope you can hold on to that when this kid looks like he's ready to start his career as a Gator. But this is where it gets interesting. Down the list, Adarius Hayes, a 4-star linebacker from Largo, Florida, just this past weekend, we're not talking about, 6 months ago, just this past weekend visited Miami. And so you look at the visits, you follow the visits. This kid visited Miami. The crazy part was the report was the Florida staff was planning on coming to his high school to meet with him, and he is already visiting somewhere else. And so again, you just look at the top of that recruiting class. I'm not going to go through every single one, but they have already lost 4 elite players that I mentioned, including Xavier Phillips, which we just mentioned a minute ago. He's going to Texas, and it doesn't look like it's done. LJ McCrae has taken multiple visits over the last couple of weeks. Amaris Williams has taken multiple visits over the last couple of weeks. He is crystal balled to go somewhere else. And then, oh, by the way, on top of that, the last guy that I just mentioned, I'm not going to go through the whole recruiting ranking, but Adarius Hayes, 4-star linebacker, just visited Miami. If I am a Florida fan, I am mortified about holding this class together. And I'll tell you this, if I'm Billy Napier, I am mortified about holding this class together, because if he doesn't have this recruiting class to sell, I don't know what kind of excitement you have going into next year. You lost Trevor Etienne to the portal. You lost the edge that just committed to Ole Miss. You are coming off a 5-7 season, which is somehow worse than the 6-6 season that you went through the year before. You got to hold this class together. You got to get to the finish line. Billy Napier, you need to be in 10 places at once to make sure these kids aren't going anywhere else. So we'll keep an eye on this. We'll have more reaction, but I would be very scared if I was a Florida Gators fan. If you enjoyed this video, do me a quick favor. Make sure to subscribe. We are following college football through signing day, through the playoff, plus college basketball, all sorts of good stuff. Make sure you're subscribed.